those who hurt our nation permanently, a dark, dark scar on America's heart. And of course, who were the ringleaders? Well, for starters, Nick Fuentes, who is still free. Now, the CIA did attempt to finally take down Nick Fuentes a couple weeks ago. If you'll recall, Dirk went to Nick Fuentes' house. This is the guy. Yeah. This is the one right here. And he wore a mask. Here's his real human face now. This is Dirk. So, Dirk, you went to his house. Now, an interesting thing took place on that fateful day because you didn't know it at the time. I didn't know it at the time. And I didn't tell you to go to his house. We did a whole episode about this. The last episode of the show was all about this. But you went to his house wearing a balaclava on the same day that a man supposedly showed up and tried to enter his home and murder him. He tried to murder Nick Fuentes. Now, what happened with that exactly? You were trying to scare Nick and you wanted him dead?
No. I just wanted him to know his body, my choice.
Right. So we wanted to do a little joke. Just a simple, everyday kind of prank where you show up to a guy's house wearing a mask, holding a sign, insinuating that you are, in fact, in charge of his human body. Normal kind of thing to do. Unfortunately, again, a gunman had showed up. Now, here's the thing. I did the last episode. I was very apologetic about this because I couldn't believe the timing. And I thought, like, we didn't intend for that to happen by any means, obviously. It was like insane. It was funny. I don't regret it, but it was very optically poorly timed. And I want to do an addendum to that episode right now. Let me just start by saying, number one, I am no longer sorry. Nick Fuentes deserved us showing up. And furthermore, he didn't have a gunman show up to his home. Now, I know what you're thinking. You've seen video of it. Of course he did. That was not a gunman. That was Nick Fuentes' boyfriend. In the chat room, Chris says, can't wait to hear about this story arc. Oh, well, then go back and watch the last episode of Podawful for sure. It's all about this entire incident. But let me just be clear here. The guy who showed up to Nick Fuentes' house, number one, it came out after that, and we haven't heard any new info. It's been weeks, and there's no new info. There's nothing on why he did it. Here's what happened. The guy who showed up to his house, before he showed up to Nick's house, had murdered 3 people. He knew one of those people. We unfortunately misreported last time that this was like a family annihilation sort of thing. No, it turns out one of the people he murdered was a former roommate or something of his, or a friend. And then the other 2 people were just that guy's sister and mom. Now, terrible, horrible tragedy. I feel really, really, really bad for the victims. Nick Fuentes is not a victim. You wouldn't know it by looking at his Twitter timeline. You would think that only a gay guy, only one of the Earth's most femme sort of little, you've seen the pictures, you know about the Catboy Ranch. Listen, Nick Fuentes has made it all about him. I can't believe a man showed up to my door with a crossbow and a gun, and he wanted to murder me. He showed up to these other people's door and murdered them. When he got to Nick Fuentes' house, he just respected his lock. He went around to the back. There's video. He tries to go into the back door. It's locked. He goes, never mind, and gave up. After that, he goes to a neighbor's house, a neighbor of Nick. By the way, he's Nick's neighbor. He lives 10 minutes down the street from Nick. Nick tries to make this big deal about the guy drove 2.5 hours. And you're going to say, I wasn't targeted? Yep. You know why? Because the guy lives 10 minutes away from Nick. The guy traveled 2.5 hours to go murder those 3 people, then traveled 2.5 hours back to essentially the street that he fucking lives on. Now we find out that he goes into the neighbor's house and he shoots their dogs, and then he shoots at the cops, and then he gets shot and he's dead now, right? And so we'll never know. We'll never know what happened. Come to find out, the guy is a thin, twinky white boy who went to Catholic school. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a fucking groiper. Are you fucking kidding me? That's a groiper. That's one of Nick's little black booty butt boys.
Could be an ex. He's just mad at him.
Look. There's like 3 options for who this is. Okay, this is Nick's ex-boyfriend, and he was looking for a place to hide out after murdering. This is a groiper who, by the way, groipers all pledged to kill, rape, and die for Nick Fuentes. That's a real thing that Nick Fuentes made them all pledge to do. So, of course, he's going to go to Nick's place after he's killed for Nick. He killed for Nick. Okay? That's option number 2. And the big thing, I think the big piece of proof on all of this, I didn't realize it. You know, I noticed it during the episode, and I think I even say something kind of about it, but it didn't. The wheels weren't spinning mid-show for me to do the math on this. Nick has made a big deal about the fact that the guy definitely knew that Nick lived at the house, because the guy on video, he goes, "Yo, Nick." Yo, Nick. Really? Because here's the thing. Dirk, you were at his house.
Yeah.
What was all over the front porch of his house?
Mail.
Unopened Amazon packages. His mailbox overflowing with mail. Mm-hmm. What did the guy do right before he says, "Yo, Nick"? He looks at the mail. Now, here's the thing. I've seen groipers, and this is a retarded point to try to make. I saw a groiper say, well, the mail would have said Nicholas, but he said Nick. It's like, a normal person can do the math, the Nicholas math, the Nick to Nicholas pipeline math on that, but forget about
I could do that.
Forget about that. I realized something. I think I'm the only person who's said this. There's a reason he's not opening these packages. He's not opening the packages because Nick Fuentes did not order those packages. Nick Fuentes was getting slaw bombed by people who hate him. Not me, but people were sending him, they're sending him cow feces and flies and roaches and, mouse droppings, whatever you can send through the mail. People are sent because he got doxxed. Everybody knows where he lives, right? So
that's how I found his place with all the mail.
Exactly. So the mail is piling up because he's not wanting to open it. Now, if you hate Nick Fuentes and you want to send him a hate package, do you put Nicholas Fuentes on the package or do you put Nick? The packages said Nick on them, ladies and gentlemen. So option number 3, the guy didn't even know who the fuck Nick was. Random house. He lives, again, 10 minutes away. He went to a random house. It just happened to be Nick Fuentes. He tried to get in. He respected the lock. Then he tries to get into the neighbor's house, and we don't know. Nick claims the guy pulled up right in front of my house and parked and then came straight to my... You don't know that. You don't know that he didn't try 50 houses on the way. The timing, it was 2.5 hours. The timing means he had to have done... Bullshit. You don't know. We only know what's on Nick's cameras. So I take back half of the things I said in the last episode of the show. It's been a real discovery what's going on with all this. The dude, the gunman looked exactly like Teddy Feezer. I mean, the exact same physiognomy. The only difference is Teddy Feezer is fucking bald. So,
not a bad thing.
So we're calling out Nick Fuentes. It's Jan 6. We're calling out Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes, got his own booty butt boy to come to his house after murdering people on his behalf. That's his boyfriend. That we're just calling it now. And if it's not his boyfriend, the guy didn't even know who Nick Fuentes was. Those are the only really 2 or 3 options on the table. This dude was not interested in killing Nick. You know why? Because he could have just gone bang, 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 bang through the fucking wall, and Nick would be dead. The window, Nick was sitting right inside where the window, right where he's standing. He could have put the gun up like this and gone bang, and that's it. No more Nick Fuentes. And that's exactly what happened to Ashley Babbitt on Jan 6. Why not Nick Fuentes? Now, I'm not saying he should be killed. What I'm saying is he needs to be brought to justice. He was one of the masterminds behind Jan 6. Then, of course, you've got Ray Epps, one of the masterminds behind Jan 6. And finally, you have a guy named Charles Howell. And so today on Jan 6, we remember Charles Howell's horrifying masterminding of the entire thing. Ladies and gentlemen, take a look at this. If you've never seen this before, this might be exclusive video. The Mastermind.
Not afraid. Not a fucking afraid. I am a mastermind of the January 6th insurrection at the United States Capitol. Come and get me, nigger. Come and get me, nigger. Come and get me, nigger. Okay? I orchestrated it all. I'm the fucking puppet master. Come and get me, nigger. Come and get me, nigger.
So, happy Jan 6, everybody. It's really an insane world that we have to deal with here. And unfortunately, it's scary, scary times. Okay, Dirk, you want to see some Grinch stuff?